when the problem becomes the problem of the problem, the people must rise up. The people here I'm referring to African youths. It's time for African youths to rise up and take over the affairs of the African continent. It's time for every African youth to rise up and aspire to become the next leader of Africa. We cannot continue to leave the affairs of the African continent in the hands of the same old. Hi, you're welcome to Inside Editing on Adobe Premiere 103. My name is Chris. Today we shall be looking into lower third. How do we do lower third when it comes to Adobe Premiere? So today we're working with Adobe Premiere and Photoshop. I've been making this emphasis that if you can work with Photoshop and Adobe Premiere, you are good to go when it comes to editing until you get to advanced editing level, which is After Effects. So the first thing we have to do, just for the interest of those of us joining us for the first time, if you've not watched the previous editions, please go and watch how to load it, how to load files. But right now we're going to import our documents. So this is my folder. I have my clips, I have my extras, I have my sound. So all I need to do is to import these three folders into Adobe Premiere environment and we are good to go. Let's get our sequence and we're naming it 103. Okay, sequence settings like we used to. We'll go to custom and we'll set this to 1920. That is our full frame by 1080 and we're good to go. So this is the clip we have for today's lecture. We have this clip to work with. We're going to run it very fast. So let's pick it from here. So we're marking and we'll mark it out and then we'll drop it in here. Now the question has popped up again. Because our frame is smaller and we have already set up our frame here, we have to keep the existing. This is it. We've been through this before. You right click on the clip and you select this scale to frame size. Okay, and then you go to effect, go to motion, and you can adjust this. Let's remove it to the original size, original scale. I have a total different plan for the clip. Now what are we doing? We're working on lower third and end credit. So we're going to load our Photoshop. These are the elements we have on Photoshop. So we're looking at how to get first BBC. This is BBC lower third. This is how it displays. This is CNN lower third. This is how it displays. You can see that CNN lower third is a bit different from that of BBC. And this is Al Jazeera lower third. This is also how it displays. Now, a little bit information about Photoshop if you've not been to the environment for the first time. Now we have the Photoshop and then we have our layers. We have our layers. So this is the Photoshop environment and then we have our layers. Photoshop is made up of different layers. So if you're working in Photoshop, you're working with layers. And for you to access this layer, you must click on it. If you want to move this layer, you must click on it, except when you turn this on, the auto select on. If you turn the auto select on, if you click on this layer, you see automatically it has selected. Watch this, watch here, just watch here. If you click on this layer right now, watch here. I click. So that is what this guy does. Okay. Now we also have this. This helps us to select the transformation. If you want to transform the image, like expand it, like we need to do right now. But we have the keyboard. On the keyboard, you can actually press Ctrl T. It will do this same select. So it has its advantage, it has its disadvantage. Some people leave it on, but most professionals will leave it off. Okay, when you need it, you turn it on so that you can see clearly what you're designing. This is a graphical environment and every detail is quite needed. So we are working with this one. Okay, let's shift this guy a little bit up here. All right. So for the interest of this class and what I intend to do, I want to borrow Donald Trump's arrangement as my background. Now, quick one, we have the handy tools on this environment, and I will introduce us to the few ones we'll be working with. The select tool, whenever you finish doing everything, anything, is the same thing. This is the move tool. You can press V on the keyboard, or you could just click here. Okay. Now we come down to the eraser tool. This is the eraser tool. Anytime you see a tool with some small arrow on it, it means when you right click, the other elements will show. And then we have the text tool if you want to type text. And then we have the zoom tool, okay, to zoom our object and to bring it to, okay, this is right click to bring it to zoom out or zoom to fit. Okay, now one thing you should notice is any tool you select, different thing changes over here. These are the properties for the tool you have selected. So different properties for each tool. When you select this, it comes with different properties. So as time goes on, it comes with different properties. We also have properties here when you start working with the layer here. Okay, so as time goes on, we'll clarify all this. But for the interest of today's, what we are doing right now is just to understand that we are working with different layers. Okay, so I'll be turning these guys off. I'll be turning them off, leaving only this on. Okay, so we're working with CNN. So this is CNN. You can actually design this inside Premiere, but it's always good when you have it designed over here. So quickly, before we start talking about our test, let's quickly go to rectangular tool. Okay, when you right click on rectangular tool, you have other elements like circle, different shapes. If you want more shape, you go to custom shape and you come here. These are different shapes you can actually work with when it comes to Photoshop. Okay, so we are working with, you right click, we are working with rectangular tool. The first is the red background here. So you click and you drag to draw. We have a red background here. It's red background. Okay, then we can turn it off. The second is a white background here. A white background. Give it white. I think we have it. Then we also have another red background here. This is a red background. Sorry, red. So we group this and we can off it. So we have something similar to Donald Trump. We can turn off the background, the blue, and turn off all this. We are storing only this. We are storing only the graphical work. That is all we need in this environment. We go to save as. What are we saving it as? We are saving it as not a JPEG file, but as PNG file. The PNG will remove the background. The JPEG will make the background to become white automatically. So we are taking it as PNG, and this is CNN lower third. Okay, this is CNN lower third. It goes under extra. We can put it inside here. Okay, and it's done. In here, we have what we call color matte. We have what we call color matte. Okay, you can use any color that you deem fit. I can even use this color we already have at the background. Our background. Okay, that is our background, and I'm bringing it here. I have to take this up and bring the background under, so that by the time I apply an effect on it, it will automatically pick it. Now we have our full frame. We're bringing the lower third right in, and we're putting our lower third on top. Okay, Now we have our background. How do we clear these things beside our background? Very simple. Very simple. So we select the clip, and we go to effect, and we take crop. It's important to know the names of this under effects, video effects. We take crop and we'll drop it right here, or we go to effect control. Our crop is already there, so you can actually delete. You can actually drag it and drop it in here once this clip is selected. If you select a different clip, it's gone. When you select the clip that you have pasted on, is there. So take our crop. You can actually crop left or right, but I know what I'm doing. I'll just push it here and push it here. So this is another way of doing left and right. You can also do top and bottom, as the case may be. Now, what next? Our motion is there. You remember our motion to expand the clip. What next? This, the lower third, set to frame. We can also highlight it. Sorry, our lower third. We can also go to motion and expand it more. But remember our sample, it was something like this. Then our text have to go up. Our text has to come up. So we're actually forming it. If you watch the original right here under extra, the original, this is what we have, and we are almost there with this. We are almost there with this. This can go a little bit this way. We can still expand it a little bit more, and this can come up a little bit, and this is what we have. Now the next is text. Because we might apply animation on the text, that is why the text didn't come with this background. So we also need the CNN logo to be in here. We need the CNN logo to be in here. Let's do with effect. Expand it a little bit. Okay, so that's CNN logo right there. Now our background is still there. There is just one thing to do to actually remove the background, and it's called Ultra. So put our Ultra key there and we'll pick it with this. Anything you pick here, the color should be gone. But you see the color has affected the clothes just a little bit because of the lighting. Of course, because of the lighting. Okay, if the lighting is done properly, so we have the elements here. So we have that dealt with, I believe. Okay, so let's pick the sound. So this is our sound. Starts from there. We quickly pick it up and drop it right there, and we highlight both of them. There's an automatic way, I told you the other time, there's an automatic way of syncing the sound, synchronize and synchronize with audio. Okay, so the sound will automatically synchronize on its own, and you can now amend it. That is how we treat our sound. And once you get your sound treated, you can clear the original sound, replace it with the treated sound. So for the interest of the class, I will just fast forward this and get it done to where we need it. Our interest today is not about treating this video, but it's about doing lower third. We have live here. If you watch that live, it has spacing and it's not bold, so we can bring it to normal, regular, and we can actually space it. We can space it a little bit from here. We can move it from here. Okay, the president-elect for the new African Party calls on African youths. So for the interest of these graphics, I think we should try to squeeze in youths right there. Now, how do we make this move is actually our class for today. We select the clip we intend to move, we go to Effect, and we go to Motion. We mark in from the beginning. We mark in position. We are not expanding the clip, so we are not marking in scale. We mark in position from the start. Then we set our clip. From the start, the clip should disappear completely out of the frame. Okay? And then by the time we are about to finish talking, the clip should return back. Okay? Now let's quickly play this from the beginning.
When the problem becomes the problem of the problem, the people must rise up. The people here I'm referring to.
Now, it's very wrong for us to have this. I would have loved to treat this another time, but it wouldn't make sense in what we have right here. Okay, what I want us to do is quickly treat this very issue. So how do we treat this issue? We'll make this as next. We'll make this as next. So we call this crawl. We'll make it as next. Okay, effect. We can actually apply crop.
When the problem becomes the problem of the problem.
All right, so
becomes the problem.
We have fixed this. Now, how do we make this faster? How do we make it faster? If you want to make it faster, you return back to this sequence and adjust this a little bit further. When you play it, it becomes faster. The more you adjust it, the more it becomes faster. So if you want to maintain this, what it simply means is we are going to duplicate this. We are going to duplicate this. Okay. When we duplicate this, we shift it. This is square enough, and then this can start coming in. It still looks so this can start coming in. So let's return back and watch. Remember, our timing is under 40 something, so we need to still duplicate this. Look at the distance, how you're dropping it. So we'll test this to be sure. So it means this is far enough, so you push these two in. Okay, so let's go in here and see what we have.
When the problem becomes the problem of the problem, the people must rise up. The people here I'm referring to African youths. It's time for African youths to rise up.
This is where the magic is done. You can actually change the writing here and put in a different write-up. So let's look at that.
Of the African continent. It's time for every African youth.
So basically that is how this is done. So what if we want this also to be changing? The pattern is also the same. What is there? This is candidate. So we can pick up candidates. If you turn it up and turn it on from here, right here, you can notice it. So we can pick up candidates and fix it. Okay, how do we fix it? Let's give gap a little bit. Okay, let's use crop. Let's use crop on the candidates. Let's use crop. Let's use crop. Let's transform the candidate with crop. Okay, that's our crop right there. It's on the candidate. So at the beginning, we want the candidate to vanish from the left. Okay, let's make it from the right. And then when it gets to this distance, we want it to appear. Let's do that.
When the problem becomes the problem.
That did not happen because we did not mark in. So for us to do that, we mark in from the beginning. We mark in on the right. What do we want? We want it to disappear 100%. And then when you move to this level, we want it to appear 0%. So let's look at what we have.
When the problem becomes the problem of the problem, the people.
So we can actually make it faster.
When the problem becomes.
We can make it more faster.
When the problem becomes the problem of the problem, the people must rise up.
Okay, so if we duplicate this,
we cannot continue.
So the more we duplicate this, that is how it will play.
When the problem becomes the problem of the problem, the people must rise up. The people here I'm referring to African youths. It's time for African youths to rise.
So now we have all this done. What do? We'll just nest it. We'll nest it. So we can move this up. So that we can have a space down here to work with this. Let's fade the logo a little bit from the beginning. We'll fade the logo a little bit, so we'll have to mark it. And when it gets to this level, we want the logo to appear complete. So basically, this is how it's done. So next class, we shall be looking into end credits. On our next class, we shall take our time to do end credits. Because of time, we're stopping this class here. I hope you learned something. If you are new on this channel, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification button for us to be feeding you with new videos. Our next class, we promise to do music video, but we're going to be doing end credits. Because of time, we used these 20 minutes to focus on working with Photoshop and Adobe Premiere. That is what we've been able to do on today's lecture. So our next lesson, we shall be looking into importing documents from Microsoft Word. That is the next thing we are going to do. So we'll be focusing on using Microsoft Word. Already we have our names listed here. So next lesson, we shall be putting these names into action. How do we transport these names into Adobe Premiere as our end credit? Welcome back. I hope you had fun. I definitely had fun, but it wasn't really easy trying to articulate everything within the time frame of 20 minutes and all that. So manage what we have, but we'll be progressing together. Is that okay? The most important aspect of this class is that we want everybody to be carried along, both the beginner, both somebody who is just visiting today and someone who has been there. So be patient with us, because we have to explain into details in some areas so that everybody can actually follow together.
When the problem becomes the problem of the problem, the people must rise up. The people here I'm referring to African youths. It's time for African youths to rise up and take over the affairs of the African continent. It's time for every African youth to rise up.